Okay, there's a few hands. How many of you were in Sunrise this year? Let me see your hands. Still quite a few. Okay. Every year, Southern and Collegedale, actually it's Collegedale Church and Southern, puts on Sunrise. For those of you who don't know what Sunrise is, it is a walk-through pageant of the last week of Christ while he was here on earth. With a seat at the church, you get to walk through the streets of Jerusalem and see all the people selling. You get to see the Mary Magdalene brought in before Jesus as the priests tried to stone her in a mob. You see the Last Supper. You see Gethsemane. You see Pilate's judgment, the crucifixion, and it concludes with the resurrection. Now, this is the 14th year that the church and Southerners put on Sunrise. This was my 12th year in it. I've been everything from a mobster to a priest to a disciple to a thief on the cross. The last couple of years I've gotten to play Jesus. I've been almost every male character there is. Male character, not female ones, because I don't really look good in a dancing dress. Maybe if I shave my legs. Being an actor, you try to find something in common with the person that you're trying to play. How do you play somebody that's perfect in all aspects? The one place where I felt like I could actually get a glimpse of him and what he went through was in Gethsemane, when he was holding onto the rock, crying out to the Father to take this cup of suffering for me. It's hard enough to burden my own sins. He was burdening everybody's sins. 3 years ago, when we did Sunrise, we had a cold snap come through. The whole week was just really nice, and then up to that day, it was 29 degrees outside. With a wind chill that made it like 19, 18 degrees. That's cold if you're wearing clothes. I was in a loincloth in this particular time. As I was being drugged from Pilate's judgment on the way to the crucifixion, I had this moment where I just broke character, and I was thinking to myself, why in the world are we doing this in this kind of weather? Somebody is going to come down with pneumonia, maybe me since I'm in a loincloth. At that exact moment, a hand reached through the crowd. Okay, just get an idea of this. I'm getting drugged with soldiers all around me, a mob all around them, and a hand reaches through the crowd. Thinking that it's one of our cast members just trying to do something for the audience, I look up. Instead, I see a girl, probably in her 20s, heavy coat, red scarf, tears streaming down her face. As she looked into my eyes, she said, "Jesus, forgive me." My mouth became a cotton ball. I could not muster anything to say to this girl. And as I was trying to get my brain to communicate with my tongue to say something, a voice came out and said, "My child, I have forgiven you and I love you." I know it wasn't me, but I saw her face break from tears of suffering to tears of joy. For she had found her shepherd. I wasn't the same the rest of the way to the cross because I knew why we were doing that in 29-degree weather with a wind chill that made it 18 degrees. It was for her. It doesn't matter if you're an actor or a singer, a social worker, a nurse, or anything. A simple, random act of kindness can do wonders for somebody. A simple smile, a simple touch, a simple hug can help open the door for them to see Jesus. All throughout my life, I know that Jesus is there. There were some times when I was going through some stuff where it felt like he turned his back on me. But he didn't. He showed himself directly to me. It's like I had this horrible year. I'm sorry I'm making you guys sit there longer. I'm just going to keep on going. My senior year at Southern, I was engaged. I had everything going for me, or so I thought. To save money, my fiancée, she decided to not come to Southern because, well, yeah, it's expensive. Advanced education, it is expensive. And I was just a year away from getting my diploma. During our midterm break in October, I flew out to Texas to go and see her. This was all pre-9/11 and everything too, so like, your family could come out to the gate with you, bid you do whatever. I kind of knew there was something going on because our phone calls were kind of seemed distant. When I got out there, we had a good couple of days. Then on the last day, she gave me her ring back and said, "I can't be with you." She said that she was lying to herself. And she was sorry that she had wasted my time. On the way back on the flight, I was just trying to figure out what had just happened exactly. Was it something that I had done? Was it something I should have done? Couldn't come up with anything. I cried almost that entire way back on the flight. I prayed for one thing to happen, and when I got off that flight, that my parents would be there with a hug waiting for me as soon as I stepped off that. As I stepped off of the plane, my parents hadn't gotten there yet. They were still on their way with the baggage claim and all. And I sat down and I cried some more. But he was there. When I got back to Southern, I was in a depressive mode because, well, yeah, my heart was just broken and fed through a blender. And I skipped classes for 2 days. I was in my pajamas for 2 days. Until my roommate finally picked me up, put me in the shower, and said, "Snap out of it." I contacted all of my professors. They worked it out with me so I could get my grades up. I was taking a class by correspondence, and I still had a little bit of that to do. When it came time to get ready for graduation, my correspondence class didn't come through, so I didn't get to March with my class. It's like I had to stay for one more semester to finish another class. My best friend also had gotten engaged pretty much at the same time that I did. And me and my fiancée, we had already set the date, we had the location and everything. She even had 4 wedding dresses. 4. He called me up and he's like, "Hey, I want to get your permission for something." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "We found a place where we want to have our reception, but the only day that we can have it is the day that you would have gotten married. Is that okay?" I'm like, one more nail. Like, but as a best friend, I said, "Sure. Whatever you want. It's good with me." And it is good. I'm okay with that. Because since he's my best friend, I am now an uncle to his 2 daughters, which one he just had on Friday. Well, his wife had, not him. I got a job at Southern, so that was one good thing that happened. A few months into it, my best friend, my grandma, died. That was pretty hard.